And once again, that music signals the beginning of the Torn Quadcast here on WRMN Radio and on the WRMN YouTube page. Good evening, everyone. I am Elliot Serrano, joined once again by my co-host, Mark Allen Fishman.
What time is it? Oh, yes, it's clobbering time.
Clobbering time. Or I wanted to say game time. See, you've got the thing. I've got Michael Jordan on the brain. Although we're both matching today.
It's true. It's true. It is funny. I was saying, like, right as I was getting my setup here, I kept thinking, like, if somebody doesn't hear the intro and they just start watching the YouTubes, they might guess that we're somehow related, if not for the last names.
Who was it? I ran into somebody today who said that I was talking to them. They came into the station and they were saying that I looked like their boss at work. And
Did
they're
you
like,
fire him?
Yeah, I should have no. And I was really, I should no. I swear you look just like him. I mean, I show you a picture right now, and people be asking, "Is he your cousin or something?" I'm like, yeah. So it's like I have a lot of, and of course Horatio Sands is out there stealing my look.
It's okay. At least when you, I should say, when I get a fresh haircut, the only person I'm compared to is DJ Khaled. So, it used to be Adam Sandler, but the dude doesn't rock a beard often.
No.
I could only wish.
Salome.
Yeah, I love the guy. I love the guy. And hey, it's wrestling related. MJF is going to be his kid in the next movie.
In the was it
Happy Gilmore 2?
Yeah, because that's what everyone's waiting for. I you know what? I want another Water Boy. That's what I want.
You know what? That I enjoy that one too. Honestly, it's not as bad. Funny enough, though, never seen Billy Madison.
Want to touch the hiney? See, I know that those isn't that where the Jack Handy bit about that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Everyone
I think so.
Is dumber for having heard it. I think that doesn't that come from Billy Madison?
I want to say so if I followed that meme back, and also say equally watchable, also terrible, Mr. Deeds.
Mr. Deeds, man, that one. I think I saw it, but I lost it, and
it's worth it only for John Turturro, who shows up as if he is in a completely different movie, and you could just enjoy his performance. Nothing else is worth it. But it's Adam Sandler making Adam Sandler noises and doing wish fulfillment for 90 minutes. Uh-oh. One of us is frozen. Oh, now you're back.
Yeah, now we're back. You froze on my end, I froze on your end, and then the music was still playing. I'm like, what's going on here? Anywho, but the timer's still running, so I guess we're still recording. So, what was the other one? Since we're going down the Adam Sandler rabbit hole, well, it's funny. Well, I will say I can't get over now that he and Jennifer Aniston are like best friends because she does all those movies with him on Netflix, and
yeah, sure, good for him. I mean, well, I haven't seen any of them, but.
Yeah, they're good. Actually, they're actually kind of fun. They are kind of.
I mean,
fun.
He did the Grown Up series, but I mean, I'll shout the guy out because two of my legit favorite movies are Punch Drunk Love, which he did, Paul Thomas Anderson, and Uncut Gems.
That one I have not seen yet. I heard he's very good in it. Didn't that get him an Academy Award nomination?
It did, and it's worth it. It is a very artsy, kinetic film. I saw it on a plane, which was not a great choice because the whole movie shot handheld, and the flight we were on was a rock polisher.
Were your rocks polished by the end?
I will say that I have never turned down a free cookie in my life except for that flight. They came past, they said, "Would you like a Biscoff?" And I'm like, I'm pleased that I'm still seated. So no.
And that Biscoff isn't going to stay down at this rate.
No, far be it from me to turn down a Diet Coke, though. I mean, by the time I got it, it was, completely spilled all over the place, but still worth it, as is Uncut Gems. So, yeah, go on and catch it. And I try to tie something from Sandler. Oh, you know what? Here, I'll get us there. I don't remember which Sandler movie, but there's one that has the Big Show. He plays Captain Insano.
Oh yeah. I remember that one. Yeah, I remember the bits. I've never seen the movie, but I remember seeing the bits on YouTube. Although I also did have a segue to get us into where we need to go. Because speaking of bumpy rides, Jey Uso, I think one of two things has happened. Either the WWE creative was watching our show last week,
clearly,
and they were like, yeah, let's do that thing that Fishman guy suggested with Jey Uso, or it's what we call parallel thinking, which is probably, it's more likely the case. It's which is what happens to me all the time when I pitch a story to Marvel or DC or whomever. They go, I'm sorry, we already got something like that, or I'll see that same thing happening in a book, somewhere down the line.
Of course.
Or someone from WWE Creative will actually use one of my ideas that I submitted to them after their HR approached me and asked if I would be interested in writing for the WWE. So, but that was a long time ago. The bit. Well, I wanted to lead off with the Cena thing, but let's talk about the Jey Uso. You did have, I think, and I know that I will sometimes kind of like tease you for the kind of derision you have for WWE right now. But all the bits, your criticisms of this past Raw and what's been going on lately, I was like, I got nothing. I have no comeback.
Spotless.
Every one of your criticisms was valid. So I'm going to come off and first say, you're kind of right. I can't debate that with you. Why don't we get into some of those? Let's talk. Yes. Let's, like we did. We segued into the Jey Uso thing. 2 weeks in a row, just weird shit. And I mean, is that on purpose, or like did it? I'm thinking it was a flub last week. But this week they said, let's just build on that and make it look like Jay's like not having a great time, or things are happening and he's just screwing up.
It's a natural story. It's not a good story, but it's a natural one. If you take some of the flippant fan reviews, and here's the thing, I happily ate my hat at the end of the Royal Rumble by the following Raw by saying, oh, okay, they let him have an amazing promo and tell that story of, I was always going to be a tag team guy. Here's my opportunity. I'm going to fight so hard. I don't want to be known as just one thing. And, to face somebody like Gunther, who is an amazing in-ring athlete, it did inevitably push to say, we already have kind of the feel good guy versus bad guy thing happening with Cody and John Cena now. So they have to tell a different story. You don't need to tell the same story twice over 2 WrestleMania nights. So how do we augment? How do we shift, right? And let's say that, Jey Uso stumbled into this, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's not a story yet. It's just, Jey Uso, not the greatest in between the ropes.
It's weird because they were foreshadowing this whole thing where, well, it was supposed to be Gunther's going to make his life a living hell. Gunther's going to do this. And it's like, Gunther's popped up here and there to troll him, but not really done anything.
Gunther doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah, Jay's doing it to himself. Plus, they keep putting up, don't get me wrong. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are really good talents, and you might as well make use of them. And if you can kind of put them in this so that later on, once Jay's at that level that you hope you want to build him to, then he can then elevate the Grayson Wallers and the Austin Theories and so on. It's a good way to start establishing those rivalries as they're building things up. I'm just at this point, I'm like, it would have made more sense to me to have Jey Uso going after the Intercontinental title or the US title, something at that level, and then build from there instead of going right into the World Championship, which I'm sorry, I do not. Let's say, just for the sake of argument, that Jey Uso beats Gunther at WrestleMania and he wins the world title. How long does he really hold on to it? Is he going to hold on to it as long as Gunther has? Really, should Gunther drop the title pretty much that quickly, especially if you're using him to elevate the title, which is what he does. He elevates whatever title he has.
He does. I would say he's not had a good go of it because we've talked about it before, and until WWE changes my mind, you don't need 2 world heavyweight championships right now because Gunther will never be seen at the same level as a Cody Rhodes. I'll tie it in for you. John Cena makes mention this week that his goal, and I hate to say it, I'm with him. If he wins the World Heavyweight Championship from Cody Rhodes, he is going to retire the championship.
Take it with him. And
yeah,
that is kind of brilliant. I mean, that is kind of brilliant. I mean, you say you're with, I'm with you. I'm like, that, as much as some people are going to be pissed about that, I kind of dig the idea.
I would even point out, just for the historians out there, it was Cena's belt, the spinner belt, that replaced the Attitude Era winged eagle that is so beloved by so many.
Yeah.
And it is that design that begat this current very simple shape, right? So if he were to take it home, he could kind of retire that whole angle of I changed the belt, I'm taking it home with me, it's mine now. And honest to God, they couldn't put themselves in a worse spot if John Cena wins the belt, goes home with it, and your only world heavyweight champion is Jey Uso.
Oh my Lord.
So you imagine, honestly, that at this point, if you end this whole fracas that way, Jey Uso himself should just come out on the Raw following WrestleMania and just hand the belt to, I don't care, Roman Reigns, Cody again. I mean, he could just pick someone and say, look, this is yours. Okay, I'm gonna go get my brother, and we're just gonna, I'll see y'all in the tag teams. Yeet.
He'll just yeet the title.
And I will say it was a little interesting. And I said, I sent a bunch of notes to Elliot right before the show, and I caught up. I will admit to everybody, I watched all of SmackDown on Friday. It took me 3 nights, but I did. And then I went in and caught all of the Raw highlights. And as I'm watching them, the whole show felt phoned in, and seeing just the highlights of the Usos reformed to take on whatever Waller and Austin Theory, they like the twin magic's kind of gone. They were off, and again, like you said, whether this was purposeful or, I'd love to give them that credit to say that they're doing this on purpose, but it just looked like they were missing all sorts of steps and spots. And once again, Jey Uso, the worst spear in wrestling.
Yeah, he needs, I don't know. It's the super kick. Well, they ruined the super kick at the last WrestleMania.
Yes.
When Jimmy and Jay just super kicked the crap out of each other like the whole match and didn't sell at all. It was just super kick, super kick, super kick. I'm talking, this is the move that they used to help Roman Reigns win how many titles, how many championship defenses, and now it's like the most ineffectual move out there.
Right. And I do like that at some point I saw it on a TikTok. Someone asked Shawn Michaels point blank, why is it so many people do a super kick, but yours finished matches? And he goes, because I tuned up the band.
Well, Shawn Michaels and, of course, gentleman Chris Adams, who had the best super kick out there. I remember.
Of course. And the worst remains the Young Bucks, who somehow employ 17 more of them than the Usos in the same given amount of time. Don't worry, I will troll AEW just fine, everybody. Don't you worry. But yeah, I would say it's pitiful when Christian has a better spear than another wrestler. And the fact that his spear is just that much better than poor Jey Uso. And Jay, I love you, brother. Please, you got a huge family. Let them teach you at least 2 to 3 more moves. Just get them into the repertoire, please.
Yeah.
John Cena has 6. You can do at least 6.
I mean, it's the thing. The bit with Jey Uso is, again, his connection with the crowd. Crowd loves him. He comes out, does the yeet, does the song. These days, his entrance and all that ends up being longer than his matches. It's like shades of Gangrel. Remember Gangrel?
Of course.
But both Gangrel and Doink the Clown originally, when Doink the Clown first was started in the WWF, this is WWF, best entrances ever, because they had that great music, the great entrance, and that sold the character from the beginning. And then they turned Doink the Clown from an evil clown into just a goofy clown, which was dumb.
It was.
And then and Gangrel, then it became the Brood. But that,
which was great, which is how we got Edge and Christian.
Yeah. Which I think Edge wanted to do that. I think at his last WrestleMania, he wanted to do Brood, but apparently Vince said no one would remember that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we all would. I mean, it is a little sad. I bet Gangrel, I think he's still around, isn't he? Or
yeah,
did he
he's
pass?
Still around. No,
okay, because I said he's still doing a little bit of the gimmick here and there. Mm-hmm. And you always felt a little bad there because the Brood and then Edge and Christian broke out and left Gangrel in the dust, or the flaming circle pyre thing, which was, again, super cool. But I'd say
that his modified DDT, the one where
Impaler,
and then he picked you up by your belt, so boom, then he dropped you. Impaler. I thought that was like the interview with the vampire around that time. He was doing the Lestat bit, right?
Yeah, they were doing a little bit of call to that, and he had one of the better finishers, or at least he had a believable finisher for sure. Edge, I know, sort of adopted it himself, and for whatever it is, the man Adam Copeland looks like a very fun, nice, cool dude. I've only in the last match did I ever care about a match that he's been in outside of the TLC stuff with the brilliant tag team wrestling in WWE, but he had a quite the banger of a rematch against Jon Moxley, this past Wednesday. Even if you didn't watch AEW, I'm sure you've seen the thumbnail. Jon Moxley got the spiked baseball bat. Mm-hmm. He got slammed in the stomach, and then it got stuck in his back. And they did the close up, and it was oh, this is not gimmicked.
That's stupid. I'm sorry. That's stupid.
Oh, it was absolutely stupid. And I'll tell you what, not only stupid because he took it, and it was a dusty finish anyway. So, I mean, it was the kind of thing where I'm not sure what Tony Khan's plan is, but it is bad. Specifically to that belt. Everything else is getting better, but this one, he can't figure out who he wants to be champion that's not Jon Moxley. And no offense to John, but whoever slipped in his mind that the greatest gimmick was to take your championship title and put it in a briefcase because people don't deserve to see it. Almost as bad as Jey Uso in the ring.
You put in your notes. The Usos were given the 3D. Well, no, they've always had the 1D, but yes, it was. That's what they
Yeah.
called it. But it's the 3D, like the Dudleys, and
And I
I know
know that
not
I'm
as.
sure they gave it to him and they did it with respect and all that, but man, boo.
Also, Raquel Rodriguez selling an oopsie roll up. That
I
was. I was like, oh man, no, this is. I mean,
this is
mind you,
actually
the men have been struggling. There've been a bit about that. Like again, that's maybe that was like a callback to Austin Theory, but in because him getting that half funky sideways crossbody, what should have been a spear was a crossbody, knocks you down, and he doesn't kick out of it, which in any other match he would have, but he doesn't. I think Raquel Rodriguez is going like, hey, let's do this so people forget about Austin Theory last week.
I suppose, but yeah, I mean, this is the thing. This is actually a problem across women's wrestling in general, where I'd say that there is within male wrestling, I'd say that there is a pretty broad spectrum of body types and weight. In the female wrestling rosters of both WWE and AEW, we seem to be running into a problem where you are either a, pardon my French, brick shithouse, or you are a tiny pixie of doom. And the problem is when you take Pixie against Juggernaut, you cannot win on a roll-up because the larger female wrestler need only to move her thigh to kick out. And it's hard for me to believe that that gal that Raquel was facing, who looked all of 110 pounds dripping wet, could have pinned her shoulders to the mat.
Unless it was a grueling long match and she's worn down.
Or she hit her in the head with a chair, she tripped or something. But this was literally just kind of a acrobatic, look at me trying to fold you up like a pretzel and use your weight against you. And Raquel just, she's gotten better in the ring, but I will say that she herself has some coordination concerns where I've seen her just kind of have two left feet in the ring. And that works for you if you are, Jade Cargill. She's got some hops to her, but she's still pretty green, but she knows how to use her power to sort of compensate and mask. This is the kind of thing where you guys have Paul Heyman on your roster. This is the guy you go to get the tips on how to enhance your strengths and hide your weaknesses, because he did that with ECW with everybody on his roster.
Yeah.
That guy had maybe two all-arounders that were really good, and the rest of them were tragic elsewhere, but Paulie knows what to do.
Why did he really? I think his presence in the female division would be a plus too. Maybe being a manager in there somewhere.
God willing.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have more stuff about WWE Raw that we're going to pick apart.
Just nailing it.
Nailing it. So we'll be right back. And we're back. This is the Torn Quadcast on WRMN Radio, 1410 on the AM dial. If you're listening over the stick, if you're watching us on the YouTube page, this is the WRMN Radio YouTube page. And you will find this episode and all previous episodes on the Torn Quadcast playlist. And yes, we will soon have the Torn Quadcast available as a podcast, and you'll be able to find all the episodes on your favorite podcast platform.
And merch.
And yes, and merch. We do have, we're getting invites to independent wrestling events, Mark.
Oh, are we?
Yes, we are. In fact, I need to forward you the details on an invite that we got. And I'm thinking maybe we can record an episode at one of these events.
I would be all for it. I will do a cage fight if you need me to. But I need to do it under Paul Heyman rules. You have to hold your hands behind your back. I get a chair and a 5-minute break.
All right. Oh man. I don't know. How's that gonna sell?
Wonderfully. Just watch as my Jewish mother comes rushing into the complex to prevent me from getting overheated.
Well, I'm guessing if Matt and Kyle want to beat the crap out of you.
Oh, I mean, they would absolutely just trip me and just chair shot me right into heaven. Just, I mean, you wouldn't even, I mean, most of the time you wouldn't even have to ask. They would just,
They'd do it.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway,
that's right.
For those who do not know, Matt and Kyle are Mark's comrades in arms at the Unshaven Comics crew. You can find the Unshaven Comics Rantcast.
Yes, you can.
And find, you guys have the YouTube page too, right?
Yeah, we have you go to unshavencomics.com. You can check us out. We are on Spotify. That's the one platform I could find getting us on. And I think we might have accidentally tripped over Apple and a couple others, but there's like 200 or so episodes across many a year. You can find there are 2 appearances of Elliot on our show, both amazing. The first one a little bit more combative than the second one, when we all realized that we had a common enemy. And once we united behind the banner of not Dan Doherty, it's a great listen.
Dan Doherty. Beardo.
I mean, look, it's Forever and a Day, still the most entertaining thing to me personally is Unshaven Comics, my brand now for 15 years. Our very first show, Wizard World, Chicago, 2008. We walked into the venue and I was turning to Matt and Kyle and I was making a point that at very least there would never be a beard-based comic book studio from our town just hanging out, making great comics. And we turned the corner and at the end of the aisle was Beardo Comics. And I walked up to the table and I looked Dan Doherty in those blue eyes of his and I said, "Hey, Beardo Comics, where are you from?" And he says, "Orland," which is 20 minutes from my house. And I said, "Great. How old are you?" And he goes, "Well, I graduated in 1999. I was like, "So you've been doing this 1 year ahead of us?" He goes, "Oh, I've been doing this for 4 years." And I said, "Awesome." I shook his hand. We went, sat down on the table, and I said, "Hey, guys, we have a nemesis. We're good to go."
One thing about Dan Doherty's eyes, you can get lost in those eyes.
You can. Some of us have never escaped.
You know, it's like that scene in Wayne's World when Mike Myers looks at Tia Carrere and he hears Dreamweaver. That running the
choked up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you get lost in Dan Doherty's eyes, you don't even hear Top 40 Radio. You hear his own band performing.
He's like, the annoying thing about him, he's like George Clooney. He's good looking and talented.
Yeah, it sucks.
And a nice guy.
Yeah, it sucks. Everything about that guy, like he just checked all the boxes. Like he watched Happy Days and said, "What if the Fonz wasn't a little Jewish guy, but actually cool?" And then, yeah, he just does cool things like make amazing books that he writes and he draws, and he's a great artist, and he runs 5 miles a day for fun, and he has two wonderful children, and his wife is nice. Great guy. Great guy.
Man, it's because of people like him I'm a nobody. He's my
Yeah.
Reed Richards, and I'm Doom. Darty!
I would say he is like the Undertaker. You are CM Punk. You're just trying too hard.
Too hard. Well, that took care of the comics portion of the Torn Quadcast.
Check your bingo cards, kids.
Yeah, really. Let's get back into WWE.
Yep.
We did have some more things we wanted to pick apart, and I do I do want to give this some prop. I do want to give the Cena Cody segment a proper lambasting. But before we do,
Sure.
the Io Bianca Rhea thing, yeah, I agree with you. It's starting to get overplayed.
This is the third time in less than 3 weeks where I think we've had to have these three women in the ring. Bianca gets into it with Rhea. Io is the third wheel. She has to make herself seen, and then, oh, poof. Everybody can see it from 10,000 miles away. It's going to be a triple threat. Stop underselling that it's not going to happen, that Rhea lost, and, therefore she can't get in. She's going to get in because it's the better story. She's a great person on your roster, so give it up.
Although they did, and maybe I wasn't following very well at the last Raw, but it seemed like they turned that whole thing with Rhea putting her name on the contract into now I think Rhea's going to be facing
she's facing Io Sky next week, and the winner of that goes on to WrestleMania, so Adam Pearce says.
So if Rhea wins, then she goes on to WrestleMania.
Right. And if any of you here would like to go place your prop bets on FanDuel, I'll give it to you for free. There's going to be a dusty finish of that match, and we're getting a triple threat at WrestleMania. There's no way they're not doing this.
All right. Well, I don't know. That seems too obvious to me because well, let's look at the CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins development, where they're saying, "Oh, it's going to be a triple threat." The smart marks are saying it's going to be a triple threat. I'm like, that what makes no sense. There are no stakes. I don't get it. Why would you do that? And boom, they're setting up a triple threat, which I'm also going, is creative trying to fake us out? Like, yes, they say there's going to be a triple threat at WrestleMania, but something's going to happen at some point where, like, again, the favor that CM Punk still has yet to ask Paul Heyman to, make good on.
Right.
Could that affect things? Because it would seem unlikely to me that he uses that favor just to have Paul Heyman in his corner at this triple threat match.
Which would mean nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. I will say sometimes WWE can play a subtle card well. I don't know if you've noticed this, but in my opinion, Paul Heyman is starting to dress a little differently than he has recently. And to me, that might be a hint. The fact that CM Punk is calling out on the microphone this favor, which means it is back in the text of this story. The note I left to Elliot after watching the highlights of that in-ring segment was CM Punk needs to be obliterated. The story that he's telling right now is hilariously, ironically, the antithesis of what he did when he left the WWE. His whole shtick was, I don't want part-timers and old guys coming back and reclaiming the throne when it's my time. And now he is guilty of doing exactly that. Now, he is a full timer, he is not a part timer by any means. However, this is just me rage booking. I'd love the triple threat, and I'd love for them to ring the bell for Roman and Seth to look at each other, look at Punk, and just obliterate him so that his gripe can hold till after WrestleMania, and then those two can duke it out. But I think, Elliot, you make a good point. A triple threat, just because we, quote, all hate each other, doesn't have any stakes yet. To me, it would seem pretty obvious whoever wins this should be deemed the number one contender.
Yeah. Or it could be like CM Punk would say, look, if I win this match, I get Paul Heyman back. Like Paul Heyman's got to now. You're not Roman Reigns' wise man anymore. You're my wise man again. Like to reunite the Punk Heyman duo.
I only to say, like, the favor has to be fair then. So, like, we all know that Seth Rollins just hates, Punk. That's there's not enough stakes there just to say, well, I want you to lose so that you don't get that one thing you want. You'd have to make it Paul Heyman gets to be whoever the winner's guy is. That there might be something to that. I'd say don't do this, WWE, but come on. I think the winner of this should just get the title handed to them if Jay beats Gunther.
Nice way to tie that all together.
Yeah, right. Just put. I mean, look, they'll put on a great match. I mean, I watched their pull apart once again, but they tell a good story. When Roman Reigns cares, it looks good, and I like where they're going with it. It just needs a little bit of stakes or something to it to make sense. But like, let's not overcomplicate it. But that's kind of what I felt. This whole Raw felt like we're lurching towards WrestleMania. And like you said, I didn't see enough hint at a twist anywhere just yet. I'd love for them to do it though.
They should make it where the winner of the match, the other two have to join his faction. So you put Roman and Rollins back together with Punk, like it was supposed to be originally. Or Roman can win and he'll finally have a tribe because he's supposed to be the tribal chief, but he's like a chief with no tribe,
Right. Actually, I would love it if they have to form a faction and Punk just has to dress and act like Dean Ambrose. Right? Just have him wear jeans and a wife beater and just kind of like rock his head back and forth and say some cryptic stuff.
Make him the new Shield, but something else.
I mean, who knows where they're going to go with it? I mean, you're absolutely right. The OTC has no club or posse, which honestly, that's fine. I think that they bloodlined to death. It's just hard because they have so many of them. At this point, you really hope, like, if they just realize like Solo's going nowhere, he should just be like, Roman, get the band together, get all 20 of us, will be unstoppable, and it would be true. They would just take every belt, melt them down into a necklace, and call it a day. And you know what? They could even take Nia Jax, so they could have the female champions too.
Oh, that would be awesome. Now that I think about it, that would make perfect sense.
It would be so fun.
Oh man.
Just 20 of them marching down to the ring like true NWO style. No wolf packs, no separation. Just oh my god, I'd love to see Nia and Jacob Fatu just hanging out, barking.
That would be. I mean, and again, I would say Jacob Fatu is coming into his own really fast. I mean, he has gotten over. Who knew that he essentially did the same thing that I feel terrible because he's a great talent and he finally was getting over until he got hurt. He did the multiple splashes on Seth Rollins that caused him to like bleed from the inside. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He was big, kind of built like
Yeah.
It's built like Otis from from
It's
the
not Jeff Cobb, it's the other guy. I feel bad, but I know exactly what you're talking
I
about.
know. I feel terrible because he's a good talent. He was in the freaking War Games. He participated.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna bother me. We're gonna figure it out like the second we go off, but
yeah, fair.
um
Because he did that bit where he splashed Seth Rollins over and over and over again, and people were like, "Oh my god, this is incredible!" And he finally hit that bit with the crowd, where the crowd were totally getting into him, and then the kid goes, I guess, in the middle of all that, actually hurt himself and put himself out of action for a while, just as he got over. So what does Jacob Fatu?
it's Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed, thank you, Bronson Reed.
Hey, I'm sorry, can you throw a pause?
Yes, I can throw one up like this. So the whole thing with again, stakes, WrestleMania, triple threat matches, that's kind of what I guess what my biggest nitpick right now, and I'm gonna I'm gonna call it a nitpick because again, there's still many weeks more to come. I had hoped that they would have a better sense of where things were going to go going into WrestleMania when you have this much time. But it seems like they're still doing a lot of feeling out right now. And it's not like WrestleMania is 2 months away or 3 months away. It's like what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
It's long enough that I'm hopeful that next week they start announcing matches and nights.
Yeah.
So that we can as an audience kind of start telling that narrative to ourselves, because it really is a 2-act play, and we want to ramp up and understand like what are we ending things on night 1. I mean, it's pretty obvious. At least night 2 I think is going to be our John Cena Cody match, but knowing what's going to go on at the end of night 1, what are we building to? Are all the belts accounted for? Will they be fought for? Are some taking a breather for WrestleMania or not? These are all questions that need to be answered fairly quickly if they want. I mean, I'm sure their sales are through the roof and people will see that regardless, but you really want to tell a great story here. And now's the time to start honing it.
I mean, they did set the bar really high with the last year's WrestleMania with that bit with the 2 nights, and how one night led in the main event from night 1 led into the main event to night 2. And yeah, which brings us into really the last piece of this particular puzzle, which is again leading off with John Cena on Raw coming out to pretty much have it out with the crowd. And then Cody Rhodes comes out and tells John Cena, "Shut up, and you better be better than this, and I'm waiting for you," and blah blah blah, and then that's it. And
well,
I'm like,
I mean, we had the whole shtick spot with I'm gonna lay the belt down and I'm gonna unbutton until I feel comfortable, and now we're gonna throw hands right now because no one thinks that we can wait till WrestleMania. And Cena does the heel thing: pregnant pause, lean in, turn back around, make the crowd mad.
yeah,
We've kind of seen this enough, and again, I was a little just perturbed that like it seems like we've already run out of beats. There's nothing new to say.
possibly. And I'm thinking, and I mean, I'm sure it could be always also be a scheduling thing or whatever, but I think it's time to start in reintroducing the final boss to the equation. Because remember, again, this was a case where, yes, where if Cody had, decided to quote unquote give his soul to The Rock, the final boss, The Rock would guarantee everything, that he would have everything. So this whole bit where Cody is going into WrestleMania thinking he's just going to be facing John Cena, I would think not. I would think now we need to start really complicating matters and showing what kind of an obstacle now that Cody's going up against, because He's not just going up against John Cena. He's not just going up against legacy and possible history, but he's going up against the president of the board. You know, he's the Sinatra of wrestling, right? Dwayne Johnson can pull all the strings and pull the levers and manipulate things so that Cody Rhodes will not win at WrestleMania.
I mean, if that was the twist, or if that was the angle, that he would introduce a clause that should John Cena not take that belt home or lose to Cody, that it would immediately enact the final boss protocol, and The Rock then gets a shot immediately following the end of that match, which could, like you said, that could lead to a very interesting story. What happens? Where could that go? You know, as the older fan myself, speaking only for myself, I would love to see, again, it's hard to say, how do you end a night 2 WrestleMania on a downbeat? It's very rare that they do that these days. So would you really have Cody?
They did it 2 years ago. Remember when everyone thought Cody
finish the story?
Yeah. So that was no one expected that.
It is true, and I would love them to do something like that and have Cena or The Rock, both or whatever, hold that title for Cody to lose it, and start something new. Because again, like there's a lot of directions you could take this. They're just not hinting at it enough. And like I said, I think Cena, he played his notes well and he's fine, but the writers need it. It's the one thing. John Cena is good for freestyle rap, but the man calls his spots in the ring so loud the front row can write him down. He's not being given enough by the writers to make this feud more interesting than it needs to be better. It's not there yet.
I say he just needs to call out kids in the audience for the next, 5 weeks, because that was
or let him have Judo Master.
Yes, get the Peacemaker crew in there.
All day, every day, please.
All right. Anything else before we go? Okay, yeah, real quick. The Judgment Day Braun Breaker Penta thing. What the hell? What's happening here? I don't know.
I don't think they know what they want to do yet. I just think they know that it's a bunch of talent and they've got to put them on the show. They got to use Penta so long as it keeps up the whole negging AEW thing.
I get that.
And just give it 2 weeks before his brother shows up.
Ooh, that would be cool. Well, he's got the he's got the brand, he's got the merchandise.
Yep.
How long before Penta's got the belt? All right, folks, that's it for another episode of the Torn Quadcast. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for those of you who've been emailing and reaching out. Please, if you're watching this on the YouTube page, subscribe, follow, share. You can follow us on the Facebook page too. Go to Facebook for WRMN's the Torn Quadcast. And I post notices for when a new episode goes up. So for Mark Fishman, I'm Elliot Serrano. This has been the Torn Quadcast on WRMN, the home of Chicago White Sox baseball. We'll see you next week.